Star-Lord is something we are starting to see a lot more, and this is where Bedtime Story shines. We know Bedtime Story is a cracked Star-Lord, and Kuru is actually sticking to the Angela. I want to know, they've said it. They said that maybe they can make this work. We even got to see Thor yesterday.
And they have, you know, even more maps to work out, like we talked about earlier.
Oh, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do the Hawkeye thing right now. Okay, I've already got the PTSD if they actually end up doing it. And you look over to the other side to make sure that they can't have the opportunity. But no, I'm not too sure if they were able to pull it off here on the other side, considering that Envy weren't going to be portaling in. That's going to be Rad instead. Gru makes a swap over to the Angela, brings everybody from Rad back into the play, just so that way they get control over the point early.
It's a 1v1 on the high ground between Bedtime and the opposite Cal. But Envy trying to kind of like take separate angles, right? Running the Rocket Raccoon, allowing Monk to live this time. That's their adjustment, not playing the Luna Snow. But in this case, Rad is kind of sticking as a complete unit, right? Just constantly going together, using that soul bond to keep everybody alive, and they already found Coluge.
Oh, that's a big first pick here. Coluge being on that Captain America, too, as we were talking about the different dive opportunities that the different Vanguards provide here. But that's 2 off, with Gale being called out by Window. He's got the passive to make his way back, and Bedtime Story needs some heals, literally living on the sticks right now, as he's able to get fully up to health, and Rad get to take the point first.
Yeah, Envy playing a more traditional 2-2-2 comp. Honestly, it's like, I feel like Envy and Rad actually have very similar strengths where they're very good at brawl comps and like kind of playing together as a unit.
Yeah.
But Envy's kind of like now forced to now play like a little bit separate, right? In that last case, Coluge just kind of got ran on by Rad while Envy's team was trying to set up.
They were really trying to prioritize, just specifically looking at Window, trying to pinpoint where Gale is, and you have to keep your eyes on that since he's already used up that passive, and when that resurrection comes up, that's going to be their prio as shpeediry, trying to get into a cheeky angle here, trying to harass the backline of Rad, but Pizzademon had the extermination ready to go. Cal's about to have that Phoenix ultimate alive, but Window going out before he even has that piece of the abyss to try to reset, and this is another takeover from Rad.
Yeah, this is very interesting from Envy. I mean, not that they don't play these type of comps, because they definitely play 2-2-2, but I don't know, at least in terms of how they're actually trying to play it right now with Nero and Window on the flanks, it was looking good previously in their last matchup, but also, I mean, today, they're kind of, like you mentioned, a little off sync.
A little disrupted, I don't know. Kind of feeling a little messy here, just the positioning of Envy, but they will at least come back into this next upcoming fight while Rad are approaching already 60% on the point for their progress, with a good amount of ultimates to work with. Nearly 6 ultimates online for Envy, but Rad have answers to try to deal with that.
Oh, goes in for the dive. Oh, off the map nearly, but Window has the mobility to get back to the map, luckily. This time, you know, Vanguard's trying to stay alive. They've been the focus of the last 2 fights, but into the sky with that Ensong Inferno from Cal, losing Month in the process. And oh no, that Inferno, I believe it hit the top too, or at least got deleted really quickly.
Oh no, yeah, it looked like it got clipped almost, or they just try to focus on it at this point. But Gale goes out first, but it's even crazier for Envy as they lost out a month earlier on. Nero at least does get that pick. Gale comes right back around with that passive as Cal's able to find Pizzademon. Can we talk about how Gale's also just been absolutely fragging out on this Adam Warlock?
Yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, well, there's a reason why people are like, it's a better version of Hella almost, right? But in the meantime, Envy's worked themselves back into it off of, like you mentioned earlier, that It's Jeff off the map from Nero. And then, you know, the rest of the squad, and Cal specifically, right, making something out of nothing. They're able to get themselves back into it. Envy kind of a slow start, but trying to get back into a situation they were in earlier. Cal on the high ground, able to get out with his life.
Man, trying to fly around over to the other side with Month at least having that Luna Soul ultimate with the Fatal Bolt Throws to help resustain, with Pizzademon now having that extermination, and forkydog finds Window again. Do not dive on my backline, Venom, as now the legendary rings out. Slight stun too. Month is going to be able to navigate away, but having to be careful with the rest of Envy. They're playing off this sidecar, and Bedtime Story is just feasting for free.
I mean, that was so smart. He literally gets 2 KOs, maybe 3, following up on Coluge, because he throws his team up with the rocket back towards where he came from and goes in with the ultimate, distracts them, forces them to a certain angle, and then comes back and ends up with a 4K in that fight. Beautiful stuff from BTS in that fight. Overtime now takes down Vicky, and Coluge is going to have to come here with the portal.
Rad is looking crazy right now. Talk about homework. Overtime ticking away. They are able to recontest, though, with that portal, too, as other members of Envy were right there to also force it out. But with that, see ya, and now the Jeff ultimate coming out from Envy, they have to go hard here without giving up that point. Bedtime Story needs to be contested because nobody's looking at him.
Yeah, this is just over at this point. I mean, Psylocke ultimate against the Soul Bond. I mean, they're able to get forkydog at least, so that's also removing the BRB. But also, you have to do GilbertNoodle committing the ultimate. Brutal round from Envy there, Vicky. Oh my gosh, you're right. Rad looks great.
I'm not gonna lie, what was that? And
For Envy fans here, but Rad does look very good, like you mentioned, Vicky.
no, that's a very good point to bring up, actually, because despite, domination could be very volatile, but we have to give flowers where it's due. Rad played that so well, but looking on the other side, the stats don't lie. I believe Envy's like 4-0 on domination alone, and for them to get taken over that hard by Rad, I mean, now they also were able to save 2 ultimates. They're about to have 3 with Pizzademon having the extermination, which is also another piece that has not been taken care of by Envy, as they're not focusing on him, as Guru is able to get the environmental pickoff onto Window.
Yeah, I thought the change up of putting shpeediry onto the Ultron would be that mix-up they needed. But I mean, not when, Guru finds that opening pick. Even on a map where you'd assume Angel's not as strong on Eldritch Monument. That was brutal. Incredible plays with the Ultron's Rage as well. Alongside that, Rad, get it done, win the point first.
Can you imagine just how chaotic it is to have Pizzademon flying, poking at you from the left side, Guru's just completely shish kebabbing you, throwing you off the map, and then bedtime stories making your eyes water while he just burns into you, and all of these different individual heroes also building up those ultimates just as quickly too.
Yeah, there's so much you got to think about if you're Team Envy at the current moment. We'll see if they can adapt. But for Rad, they're sitting with all the ultimates, right? Letting them kind of come in. But Envy close to those Shredder's ultimates, close to that freedom charge, maybe to counter something from Rad, but Rad's also playing it slow, and oh my god, Guru does it again!
How is Guru is getting away with this? Because his job is to just be a mosquito and just get out of there. I'll be looking like a chameleon with 2 eyes in 2 different spots, and then Window gets frozen. That delays the freedom charge by the very end. The psionic seduction next comes out from Coluge as he's starting to try to find his footing here, and bedtime story getting away with activating the legendary up on the high ground, but it does force out Month and that Fate of Both Worlds.
What?
Another freeze and then the follow-up.
Jesus, Envy's getting picked apart at the current moment. I mean, they lose shpeediry after losing Window. They lost Cal in the last fight. This isn't some of the worst stagger. Cal also tries to come back and clutch it up. Month gets 1. I mean, that's how Envy gets it done. But is that enough, right? 1 KO from Month. Eventually a follow-up on a Gilbert, but Gale has the self-res to bring everybody back in a moment. Eventually, they're on him. Cal and Nero are, at least in the backside, but he has the pocket there. The team coming back to peel for him. Guru also stalling at the point, being an anchor, eventually will fall. But I mean, Gale still has that team-wide res, and these 2 members who just got picked are coming back.
Oh no, and he couldn't finish him off at the very end there too. Coluge just find forkydog, but Gale with that resurrection brings him right back after finding that pick. And now at 85%, now they finally flip that point. Envy gets to finally plant their feet here. They have the extermination, but Rad have everything to answer back here.
They commit the Ultron's Rage. You do have the heals in the sky with that snowflake as well, but you have to concede so much space. Here comes that Sonic Seduction on the backside too, allowing Window to find Gale though. Regardless on the backside, they find 2. And this is kind of how Envy does it. They make it scrappy. This is how it's looked in the previous domination series, and it's maybe why you said they're so good at domination. It's because they're just never out of any fight ever.
Yeah, and just the way that they were trickling in from the beginning of this round and the way that they were consistently just staggered in that first round there too with those crucial picks. This is the first time we actually see Envy grouped up together to win that team fight and isolate what the biggest problem was, which was prevent Gale from trying to get the res. And if they did, we need that sustainability, which Nero had with that Eternal Bond.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good read by the team of Envy onto Gale. Some teams don't actually make that adjustment, right, to chase down those Adam Warlocks. At the moment, I mean, Rad plays it slow. They're still kind of trying to walk it in, and they do have the advantage in terms of tickets, but at the current moment, Envy's building back up momentum, but until Guru actually steals on the backside Cal, and Cal goes down to that Ultron Rage. Huge play by Guru and Pizza.
Can we get a Pizzademon ult counter too, by the way? Like, the way that Pizzademon's been able to have this online consistently to try to keep the startup engagements and to keep them going has been incredible. But Month also mentioned that as Nero has the Eternal Bond to help keep everybody alive through this legendary, and the rest is done with Coluge holding that front line.
Yeah, now Envy's looking like the Envy of old, right? No matter how, in that case, we saw in the last fight, Guru would have been a phenomenal pull back into, like you mentioned, with Pizzademon in the sky with that Ultron's Rage, finding that elimination. They're going to have to portal back now, though, and RAD ESPORTS, it's been flipped on their head right now. Envy almost about to cap out. Overtime has to tick down now.
That was off of after they were at 85%, mind you, as bedtime story over onto the Hawkeye, maybe trying to get a cheeky freeze here because forkydog has that team up, but then shpeediry through the window of the portal. Nowhere is safe. Maybe a window to their soul as they get back over to the spawn room, and with the psionic seduction from Coluge trying to bring them all into their line of sight. Gale does get that res off at least temporarily, but I don't think it's going to be enough here as Window and Cal get the follow-ups.
Well, that's the problem, is that res only brought people back to the spawn because he actually threw it out before jumping through the portal. So Every single one of those members back in the spawn and Envy get it done. That was way better of a round for Team Envy compared to...
Mental KO off the side of the map here too, but that's something else you have to wonder here with the Angela, the Emma Frost, how that space is going to be controlled as we get started now.
Heading on over. Onto the Warrior, onto the factory. Rad, meanwhile, right, they're going to consistently play around Guru's Angela, sort of rely on Gilbert as well on that front line. But at the moment, I mean, Envy's pacing has been so fast, and Rad hasn't been able to set up, but they do have strategist ultimates in this fight. Envy do not at the current moment. We'll see if Rad wants to take advantage of it or just wait out until Cal decides to pop that Galactic Legend.
I love the Peter v. Peter, just respect that we're having this 1v1 that we're having between Cal as well now as Bedtime Story backs away up on the high ground. Talk about positioning though, trying to avoid the sound of seduction from GilbertNoodle while shpeediry up in the sky has that extermination. It's going to be met though by Pizzademon 2 up in the sky trying to heal up the members up on the high ground, but with Month being able to find Gale here, he does have that passive still activated as forkydog also could keep that sustained with the Fate of Both Worlds.
I mean, BTS trying to change it back. The same thing with popping forkydog's ult, but understanding the strat ults are, you know, more focused towards that point. Envy regroups around it, find Gale again, and this is kind of how Envy wins these games. It feels like on Domination, Vicky, they constantly, as Cal finds Pizzademon, just kind of yin, like they play it back and forth. They let you make the mistake first.
I'm also keeping my eye on Month. Month has been getting these follow-ups and these freezes so beautifully here too, and also has that Fate of Both Worlds, so they have that survivability. And we have some swaps coming out. We highlighted the Hulk, we highlighted the more, something that RAD Esports also likes to rock here after they make the adjustments that they needed early on.
I mean, I like it. I mean, Guru made an uncharacteristic mistake, I think, going a little bit too far. Usually doesn't, you know, get KO'd on Angela. Usually does a good job in terms of positioning, but in that last fight, Envy read him well, and now they're sitting with a huge advantage, right? I mean, they have that Ludus Snow alongside that Sonic Seduction, and every single fight, it feels like Envy's Sonic Seductions have been huge from Coluge, and the Ultron range follow-up is there from Speed. There's so much on the table for Envy, and they still play it slow. They still don't even want to make the first move. Let Rad make it the mistake first. Here comes that Ultron range to pop out the healing out of RAD Esports as well, forcing out a cooldown at the very least, but they live it.
Yeah, that and taking care of the squids too, right? Just making sure it's not extra pressure here, that they could work around with these different pulls that this map provides here, as now the extermination comes out for Pizzademon just to help keep everybody stabilized from RAD Esports. Guru's gonna need it, and there you go. With that squid pickup onto Month, that's your main strategist out of the table, and that's also with Month going down with Fate of Both Worlds.
Huge shots from BTS. And that's what they needed. Rad did. At least here comes Win on the backside, trying to find an elimination, at the very least force out something. Gilbert has found shpeediry on the backside, though. I mean, it's hard down players. They're trying to come back, though. Doing what Envy does best, right? Trying to clutch up fights that seem really unwinnable, but I mean, they had double straddles. Here comes the whale on the backside. Month falls.
Oh no, and Window had got it done just early, but Nero's right there with the Eternal Bond. It's the insurance policy that they needed, but that still took out two of the strategists, as they have to also deal with the squids and Gale, who could come right back around with that Karmic Revival.
And they're sustaining Radar in the main side, but without positioning, right? They're having to use that Ultron's Rage defensively, having to come out now, force Coluge off the point at the very least, but they did flip that objective, and also res back Guru. A lot of ults committed. Can they find any eliminations to follow up on? It doesn't look like it, but at least they have the point. But, I mean, Vicky, look at that ult feed. Look how many ults they just popped, and I mean, it's going to be a scary next fight for them against Envy.
And it's big, too, because that was Envy also just trying to stall for as long as possible, right? That was when Window getting frozen by forkydog right before touching the point, and then now RAD Esports were still able to flip it. And with shpeediry having this extermination, Coluge getting frozen temporarily here, too, stunned rather. He's got that Sonic Seduction. He comes right back around. They have the survivability. As the Sonic Seduction comes out, there's a lot of space, though, to get out of the line of sight. While Cal tries to take a different off angle, has that Legendary. He's still living, though. Talk about the strategist keeping Envy alive while Window gets that reset Feast of the Abyss.
But so many cooldowns are popped to keep them alive. Can they come back into it? They pop that dance for the perfect time with the whale, and it finds the back line. Removed. Nero and Month back to the spawn, and Rad still control the point.
That one I want to report a murder, because that was a big whale coming down, crashing on their dreams for now. But Rad extend their progress now on the point, with Envy now just trying to see what they have to do differently.
Oh my god. I don't want to say the obvious. I mean, that was a killer whale, right? I said it, sorry. Rad, anyway, on the defense, have the Sonic Seduction ready to go for Envy as they walk in, and you know, they're actually looking pretty good. But Pop has some decision early. Oh, no, they lose Gale, who has that self-res at the very least. But he's going to have to play his life now and make sure he can get a team res off if they were to go down, because Envy are going to stall this out with double Strat of Assault in a moment.
The fact that Gale's about to get another res, we just saw him use it in the last team fight basically here too, so he's putting in a lot of impact here, while Pizzademon had just used up the extermination. Now it's shpeediry's turn. Window gets frozen by forkydog, but it's bedtime story who is lights out first. Overtime ticking away in favor for RAD Esports because they have not flipped off the point just yet.
Wait, did Cal find Gale while he's rezzing so that res didn't go off?
Oh,
I need to see that POV back. I think Gale was like all the way around the corner. Somehow he got hit by a spark, and that could end it. I mean, they're going to portal back with BTS, but now they have overtime spawns. And also, strategies also they're going against. This is going to be brutal for RAD to even stall this out in overtime.
They don't have any sustainability here if you're RAD. And now you're dealing with Envy, who do have a sustain. Coluge has Sign of Seduction. They're trying to body block them by the portal. It's not stopping them thus far, but Envy have so much damage output. It's just a matter of time with RAD making some desperate adjustments. Pizzademon trying to get that Loki ultimate online just as quickly as possible, but no more heads left from RAD Esports to stay on that point.
Oh my gosh, what a round from Envy at the very end. I don't know how Cal found that pick, but now that's a map win for Envy in the books. And I mean, we can go back and look at that now. I mean, in the in-game client, you can watch back any of our games from any POV you want. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to go back and check out Cal's POV in that one, figure out why he's been playing instead of tap. You'll figure it out pretty quickly based on that last fight. That pretty much shut down any chance for RAD. Envy get it done. And it's like you said, Vicky, I mean, they look good on domination. Round number one, they were shaky, but seems like a bit of a, you know, shake off the rust type of round.
Yeah, that there's that comfort pick, right? They felt like they're in their element. It's not like they have to make those little micro adjustments just playing into that legend. Although, you know, just the skill alone that these players have. They
see on the defense, different comp as well for the team of RAD Esports because of, like you mentioned earlier, so much Adam Warlock, at least forcing RAD to play a different, like, look.
I like seeing Krakoa win at everything, but that's not something RAD wants to see, as they're on that defense instead on the high ground. The fact that you let the Mantis through, by the way, is something else that we have to highlight, because Pizzademon now is going to damage boost Gale, and we know a damage boost Ultron on top of bedtime story is going to be crazy as the kidnap. Oh my, and they try to push him off, and he still comes back. Welcome to the Wolverine special.
Oh my goodness, that's, well, something we saw out of Envy yesterday, but you know, wasn't that consistent versus Dreamland when they played the Wolverine, but now that we're ending onto a convoy map type, shpeediry making his presence known and pulling in Guru yet again. No shutdown of him, getting the bubble every single time from Coluge. forkydog can't counter it with the force physics.
I want you to bet when Rad's on the attack, Guru's going to try to match that with the Wolverine. Just a little bit of a diff, so maybe sometimes. That's what I'm expecting. I can see it happening, but it goes hard here when you expect that triple Vanguard. That's why Envy roll out with it, and they haven't been stopped thus far. Guru does come back to recontest with that portal as more members fall from RAD Esports, but Gale with the extermination could at least try to help restabilize. Unfortunately, cannot help Guru in that moment, but the Eternal Bomb now from Nero is going to allow Envy to now rotate through that invisible boundary too next with Month.
Yeah, I know why that ability is called Ultron's Rage now. It's because he uses his ultimate to no avail, and then the trees start growing on his own map. So, I mean, brutal situation to be in for Gale and RAD Esports because, yeah, they got snowballed. I mean, change of play, pace of play was just flipped on its head, and then also, you know, they're having to deal with a completely different comp and a different play style out of Envy, who just decide, okay, we're going to play Wolverine and really make your life miserable.
Just Ultron being Ultron, right? Wants to see the world burn out here. Now shpeediry on the prowl, though, the Apex Predator, before trying to get an actual kidnap, but misses out this time around. Like the awareness, too, they had bubbled him preemptively just to start that engagement, because that's how they want to start off having that number advantage. But Envy have so much in the tank right now. RAD have enough to also match that with Gale being able to get that ultimate from Ultron quickly. Oh, my.
Well, good shutdown by Guru. I mean, Cal, I don't know how we even lose that. Really admits that Avagamota gets pushed back at the very least. Meteor in the sky. Doesn't actually find anything necessarily against GilbertNoodle. Very low, however. Windows there with the follow-up because Guru does not get countered by Meteor M, then throws out his ultimate. So despite Cal getting picked early, they're still in it and also have the claws fully raged out on the objective. In the sky, meanwhile, Gale trying to maybe keep the team alive, at least with his Ultron's rage. Maybe do some extra damage, keep Guru alive, who just got kidnapped yet again. But even through all that healing, they can't keep Guru alive. He goes down to a Terracade.
It's just so much damage output. It's so much here, and Nero's been playing on fire. Even though we saw that MVP go to Coluge, Nero is 100% on my radar in the driving seat because not only the damage impact with that Terror Cape and the follow potential here, but the survivability is Envy walk Krakoa for free on that second checkpoint.
I mean, they're rolling them right now. This is Rad's own map pick, by the way. Tough situation to be in, considering, you know, we've seen teams get full health here consistently, right? And, I mean, that's on defenses in general, but really on Morocco, this should be one of Rad's best map picks, and they're switching Gale over to the Bucky in a potential resort, last-ditch resort on this third point.
The way that Bedtime Story as well as shpeediry are playing, just holding these corners, trying to make sure that these players have something to fear, something to look back on. Bedtime Story gets right back, though, to the rest of Rad as they try to continue to harass that back line, but Month is still holding on to that invisible boundary, and Envy are holding forward while Rad are feeling the pressure.
Disappear!
Absolutely, Window gets pushed back and is going to go down. Envy, similar situation to Streets face, though, where they try to clutch up after losing one. Can they do it? The answer is yes. Everybody goes down to that Ensong Inferno and Meteor M.
The fact that Krakoa is not on fire right now with the Phoenix ultimate, the follow-up on top of it all is chef's kiss right now. Coluge with that Meteor M. Rad have not been able to restabilize here, and Bedtime Story is going to come out at least with a swap-up with the hand of Conchu.
This is brutal so far. But Rad could turn it around. Iowa Komodo from Guru committed, at least slows down the push from Envy. Since they have to commit Nero's Eternal Bond into the sky, GilbertNoodle, Meteor M connects. Finally, something, a form of life support for the side of RAD Esports. They're bringing themselves back into it off of GilbertNoodle with a 3-piece.
Look, I pop off already with one big crucial hit of the Meteor M. You get a 2 KO right there, a 2-piece, and you get to walk away feeling happy for GilbertNoodle. And that's without them expending a lot here. And they need this because there's 3 minutes still on the clock for Envy.
And I guess that setup between Guru and Gilbert looking good right now between the Vanguard duo, but there's still 3 minutes on the clock. I mean, that's so much time at the very end of the map. We can't understate how fast Envy have been blazing along, Vicky. It feels like they've not slowed down until that last fight.
Literally looking like they're trying to speed run here, but now with a nice little stall, shpeediry just dives down here and he finds GilbertNoodle this time around. That's with forkydog calling in the invisible boundary too, just keeping RAD Esports alive. GilbertNoodle is now going to make the swap to try to get back into form just as quickly, and Envy still had that survivability, but Bedtime Story was able to isolate Cal.
Yeah, nice shots, but can they find eliminations? Very deep by Month, and Gale goes down. There's no more shred ults here. I mean, Gale was the only one maybe that could bring it back with his huge crack and impact. Maybe the Meteor M at least misses from Coluge. Everybody's dodging back and forth. They're stalling the cartwheel. Rad are, and actually Guru finds a pick. So although they have no ults to work with, they're making it scrappy, similar to how Envy does it. And they're bringing themselves back into it, maybe forcing out ults, also not dying. But Gilbert falls, unfortunately, to Coluge on the backside because he's trying to find those picks. Moon Knight over the top, able to find Nero. BTS, what a huge hand of Conchu and Son Inferno is going to be missing the majority of the team now, unfortunately. So this is going to be completely negated, and Envy's ultimates have just gone to waste.
Wow, the fact that they had just crumbled that here, the fumble as RAD Esports now turned things around. You had all that time in the time bank if you're Envy, and now you're down to a minute and less than 40 seconds, and RAD have basically everything minus Bedtime Story, who makes that swap up and also gets that team up too with the Hella, with GilbertNoodle being on the Venom.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Guru is somebody that can turn fights on their head. What an incredible player. But we'll see if they can keep it up, right? Every ult in the bank, which is somehow a worse situation for Rad to be in. And for Envy, you know, they have those ults to work, or they don't have a lot of ults to work with, but also can make things happen without ults. And again, BTS goes down. How has this game been flipped on its head, where the first pick is happening by the team without ultimates? Guru trades it, though, onto Coluge. And that's a big pick because, I mean, he was coming up in the Meteor M. Ivo was here from Guru.
Oh, with Window at least getting stunned temporarily, Nero having that Eternal Bond keeps Envy alive. Once again, Nero trying to flip this fight, but it's met with the invisible boundary. GilbertNoodle has a reset available with a piece of the Abyss too. And if he doesn't pop that armor just yet, shpeediry backs away, has that legendary. Now he's going to try to harass the backline. Beautiful dive follow-up that we currently have right here between Window and shpeediry, and it's all for shpeediry to eat.
Yeah, you bring up a fantastic point as Envy close it out. 30 seconds left to go. It turns out maybe the time bank was too much to overcome as Rad get pretty much I mean, that was a blazing fast time at first, so at least they can hang their hat on the fact that it costed a little bit more time in the bank, but still impressive.
First map when we're talking about one win condition versus multiple here, and you have the opportunity to have that legendary online from the Star-Lord, right? So then you have window just dive in.
The two, so that's going to be a fun and unique pace of play, or pace of change, or change of pace, we got there eventually, for Team Envy, as they're playing that traditional 3-3 alongside RAD, who are honestly one of the better teams at countering it until that game versus FlyQuest.
Look at this, Guru, by the way, on that Wolverine. This is what we could expect out here, too, especially to try to break through this chokehold of the triple Vanguards that you could always expect when it comes to the team that is holding that defense here. Cal, though, has that BRB. He brings back shpeediry, and something else you have to consider, right? Guru is him when it comes to trying to find his way around these Vanguards, and having that Angela looking at him straight in the face, all right, you think you are him, but I could be even Himothy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I completely forgot. If we take a look back at that ban phase that they allowed, at least Envy did, Mantis to go through. So,
yep.
forkydog, what a pick off by him, too, alongside, like you mentioned, with Guru playing his traditional Wolverine, but a very unsung player in forkydog for this RAD esports roster, right?
Really big awareness here as we get to see the recontest as well with the Portal Plague now coming in from shpeediry, and very nice cleanup from that next corner. Usually could get a little tough here for that first point. And now Bedtime Story being back on that Star-Lord, just trying to take a different angle with Envy trying to cycle out of that portal.
Playing this at the moment, Gale goes down to a haymaker from Coluge, but Nero as well trying to maybe capitalize off of it. It's Jeff onto forkydog. Captures his own thing, but spits him back out, then spits the Mantis off the map, and clobbering Tom on the backside too from GilbertNoodle of all people. Allows Bedtime Story to find Coluge, but I mean, is it enough? Coluge comes back with the BRB. BTS trying to bring it back with this Galactic Legend, trying to find the Rocket Raccoon, who's making it hard, and BTS somehow found two incredibly shifty heroes on the backside, and those are the ones keeping Envy alive.
And no one's looking at him. Nobody is looking at him. The Eye of Agamotto comes out. We're still seeing some of these picks coming in, but Pizzademon with the It's Jeff sends Window down below off the map here. Monk keeps Envy in this fight with Window going down using that Meteor M, but while he comes back around now, they've used up both of his strategist ultimates. Cal at least has that Sia.
For sure, for sure. For Envy, they're going to come back with those ults you mentioned. And this is the RAD, at least I like to see, is playing aggressive, right? This is why this is one of their best compositions, it feels like, because when they're... Okay, well, cast a curse, BTS goes down to Window. Nice pick off from him. But when they play aggressive, they usually can make things work. Last stand going aggressive from Guru. Oh, no, a little too far. The follow-up from Gale isn't there in time, though. No! Shut down by Window with a Meteor M and the damage boost from Rocket.
He's had enough. He's had enough. Especially when he was a picks away from almost being sent down all over again when we were looking at that Wolverine ultimate originally. Sent out Guru as now Guru makes a swap, looking to try to portal in to try to recontest here because time is of the essence. You have a minute, less than 10 seconds now left on the clock.
I mean, Envy's looking clean, right? This is looking rough at the moment for RAD as they have a minute left on the clock. This is kind of going exactly how Envy wanted, at least in terms of time bank and consistency. Right now, they're playing it slow on the height. I mean, Nero is just able to kind of have consistent uptime. That's the thing with Jeff. It feels a lot like, in fact, his teammate Rocket Raccoon with how much damage output and healing he provides, at least across the map at all times. Walls are here, but immediately removed, and Envy, they're looking to exploit out with Nero's ult. Oh!
Nero, oh my, talk about an It's Jeff all goodbye. He had caught it 3 originally, but with 2 out, shpeediry follows up and is the nail in the coffin. Talk about a play here from Envy between the Jeff and the Rocket. You know, Tom Nook is coming in to collect his debt, and now the rest of RAD are looking desperately to recontest because they have less than 20 seconds.
This is brutal, and oh my gosh, and shpeediry is going to be here with the Agamotto too. So many things to think about for RAD. How do they counter it? 10 seconds left. They get stunned too by clobbering time early. forkydog doesn't have his ult, but I mean, it's a multi-layer defense like you mentioned earlier. They commit that Mantis ult on the high ground. Gale, can he be kept alive? It is. It's enough to keep him alive with that overhealth.
It's the fact you get hit with an Eye of Agamotto. You get hit with clobber in time from Coluge here. RAD still stay alive, though, and all that is going to be put into Gale to pop up with that final judgment here, with the choke being broken here, with also the Hand of Conchu being built up slowly. He used it up just earlier, but Gale now has that ultimate online, and Envy have that survivability.
I mean, they use Punisher ult, but Window What's he going to do? They use the invisible boundary. They walk into it. Can Window commit his ult against that Punisher? It looks like he does. Jeff on the backside. He finds Gale too. And Guru. Window, an absolute god this map. As yes, he finds two. Nero doesn't need anything, but he doesn't even need to necessarily. He speedily comes on the backside flank with a portal onto two members of RAD Esports. And they're trying to desperately dodge back and forth to the portal. It's not enough. Vicky, Envy are about to get it done in overtime. RAD Esports are sent to a third map, and it's map point already.
Someone let Envy know it's not a speed run out here, but Window popping off. I mean, he was literally the window to the soul for Envy that entire game. He had the most crucial Vanguard ultimates and the impact that came out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, MVP for Nero, but for sure, like you mentioned, it's just Window looking so good. And that's a rough map for RAD. I mean, there's not much to say about it besides they tried to make things work. It was a little off sync.
At all? I don't think we've seen a Penny ban, I'm not gonna lie. Usually on Central Park, though, a lot of players within their own ladder could say that Penny's pretty strong if players just do not have eyes to shoot the nest. But, it could be a little cheeky sometimes on Central Park. Although I wasn't expecting to think cheeky as we get started right now. Match point right now for Envy. Need to win one more map to proceed into that grand finals, but RAD are not going down without a fight, with Guru being on that Angela.
Shoot, and guess what? We get to see shpeediry back on to Torch, going for that long right side angle, but Guru there to try to attempt to counter, or at least to force him off, scare him. In the meantime, shpeediry not understanding that. Angela's kind of like the anti-flyer Vanguard at times, or at least Guru's job is to mark shpeediry in the sky, it looks like, at the very start. Forcing the play slow at the moment, and Guru seems to be the one dominating the skies until, RAD, they have two flyers on their side to help Guru two in the air.
A lot of staying here possible too, but shpeediry, talk about sustaining. He's not sustaining anything as he falls from the sky. Wings clipped here, but if anything, it's Guru who's trying to go for the shish kebab, and Nero's right there with the Eternal Bond to set up Envy, getting that Eternal Bond very quickly, by the way. Here, talk about that healing output while Gale is able to come back alive. forkydog can't say the same. Bedtime Story is continuously harassing that backline, but the rest of Envy are walking up onto this point, clearing it from RAD.
Yep, something I failed to notice and even point out was, they were just playing for Shroud ults, right? That's why we saw Speed go down so easily. It's because of that, and they take that point quickly off of Nero. Them taking damage as a unit, that's their idea, was to just sit there, poke, or take poke rather, and also they find Gale and stagger, brutal for Mr. Gale Adelaide, and Envy, really smart idea to just place for Shroud ults there in that fight.
It's so big brain and something that a lot of players just do not consider, right? Instead of going for a health pack, you want to boost into those strategist ultimates instead, and shpeediry taking a good chunk of damage just to have that entry point with that Eternal Bond instead, keeping everybody of Envy alive while shpeediry isolates Bedtime Story. Instead, shpeediry is putting him to sleep.
Yeah, this is sort of what we saw yesterday with Terra. You mentioned it with shpeediry too. He's one of those guys that you don't want to give Torch for this exact reason. Finding that stagger pick. At least RAD have ults now, though. They'll come up on 6. They're going to rotate Guru all the way to the cart to at least try to stall it. For now, Envy also understanding that, look towards Guru, force him back towards that main side as the cart still pushes, and also Strangling Prison's there.
Oh, he put down the Strangling Prison and immediately got stunned too right afterwards here. So backing away while GilbertNoodle sends out the Meteor and Blind. Invisible Boundary for Invisible Boundary was used up, but the Extermination to try to keep them alive as Gale, safe and sound, inside that side room is able to pull off the res. They try to shut it down with Rising Phoenix here, but Gale then shuts down Cal, and Envy are down in numbers.
A nice trades back from BTS on the backside. Guru also trapping everybody with his ult. Meanwhile, that's enough to bring them back into it. RAD really pushed to the brink there in that last fight. But they were able to come back, Vicky, it seems like, through BTS's ult, and then also, Envy not being able to commit Nero's ult.
It comes in clutch, too, when you have Gale safely behind a wall to be able to pull off that res, despite Cal trying to aim for him. Cal's always looking for Gale. You have to keep that in mind here. If you look at that back line, and forkydog had used up that invisible boundary earlier, too, and already is trying to dip that of month in that ult economy. But keep your eye also on Window, who's looking to try to flank that back line. Guru dives down here, tries to disrupt the piece before trying to fly away with Angela, but he gets a huge shish kebab here.
Yeah, somebody's pushing the cart, too. They got back capped, I believe, by Window. So that cart pushed a little forward. RAD might be a little bit, not exactly in the right train of thought at the current moment, as that's an eternal bond on that cart to kind of give everybody sustain too, and Rad have nothing at the current moment, right? Clumbing close to that Ultron's Rage for Pizza. The Pizza in the sky has to do a shpeedery inside a trapped room because the map is changing. Oh no, for Pizza, that's brutal. Gilbert trying to clutch up, meanwhile, on the cart in the backside shpeedery, able to find Gale with some help from Window, but it's traded back and forth. Bedtime Story again, trading back and forth fights for Rad is huge. I mean, these consistent eliminations for Bedtime Story have been huge.
You know, shpeedery's like, how did that all happen? Pizzademon had extermination. He couldn't even use it. I disrupted him. I'm surprised he even pulled the trigger on that over on that side room with how low he was in that 1v1 duel versus shpeedery. Despite all that, though, Rad still are able to take control in the neutral in that fight on the ground.
Massive work from Rad. Definitely play around this Adam Warlock to a very high level. Early commitment of that Piece of the Abyss from Window in that fight. Just kind of using it to force out cooldowns. Didn't force out much, though, unfortunately, in his case. In fact, it's his own team who gets picked in the sky again by Guru, really playing this anti-air style very well of Angela.
Imagine having the Feast of the Abyss to follow up with the Phoenix ultimate that Cal is about to have right here, too. Could have maybe had more impact as Gale's able to find Window and Guru finding Cal next. Guru getting more of these picks, making you wonder here. Maybe this could have been the next Angela ban they could have leaned into just like that last map.
Let's see when the ult are involved, right? This is a big one. Window now going over to the Emma Frost, looking to try to peel a little bit more. But at the moment, Rad, I mean, it seems like in these neutrals in the sky, at least they're dealing with speed. They're sending basically everybody. I mean, Gale pokes him, Bedtime Story pokes him, Pizza's poking him, Guru, same thing with Gilbert. Everybody's making sure that speed is marked and not given cover. But the bubble's used. Also, ult committed by Guru with the Ultron's Rage. But the Meteor across the map! What a shot from Coluge, who doesn't have a res in Gale. And that's out that Adam Warlock. That's removing so much damage. Every ult now being popped for RAD eSports. Can they try to get an elimination? It's in an eternal bond. So the answer is no. They have to make it scrappy. They have to stall at the cart. Maybe wait for Gale to come back with that res that you mentioned earlier. Was able to get off behind that wall. But at the moment, Rad, they start to back up. Maybe they're setting up for that res. We'll see if Envy can read that for this upcoming fight, right? Understanding that. But in fact, it's Pizza to take advantage on that left flank.
It's the counter rotate that I am loving right now from Rad, right? Because Gale had gotten down early, they want to be able to lean into that, and they forced out the Eternal Bomb before because of that Legendary. So now Envy don't have the ultimate economy right now to be able to elongate these fights as RAD eSports does.
They're just finding pick after pick, and as we're talking about earlier, Rad has kind of a similar playstyle to Envy, where they kind of rely heavily on these neutrals. You can see exactly why. I mean, Gilbert follow up with Gale and BTS. Everybody showing up now for Rad, and what a better time to do it, Vicky, on map number 3, in the middle of the map on Central Park. If you could stop Envy now, who is now portaling in, Guru could get the maybe animation cancel stun. Portal out. Can Guru come in? Oh, kidnap him with a spear. He got the portal off in time.
Ooh, he gets it. Everyone jumps back in. They're safe here. They get to pull it off for now, but can they get the picks with overtime ticking away? Window activates the sign-up seduction right out of that portal. shpeedery close to that Legendary, but the Born Again rings to their ear as they try to find him. He still has the passive to come right back around, and forkydog is so close to the invisible boundary as GilbertNoodle rises up with the Meteor M. Guru is busy sending the strategist off from here to this map. This is insane looking at Guru, looking at the Angela, shutting down the Eye of Agamotto as Envy have been wiped.
Oh my goodness. What a play from RAD eSports. Job done in the streets phase, holding the former mid-season North American roster that made it the farthest into that grand finals. And now they're trying to come back, but
yeah,
many times, I mean, we just saw shpeedery just shooting it and it didn't break.
Looking at Rad, the way I wanted to highlight the way that
out for Rad's comp and is built for a specific reason, and that is through Guru, like you mentioned, playing that triple comp, keeping him alive and healthy. Meanwhile, for Envy, they'll have to figure something out. They're going to switch over back to that Adam Warlock comp on their own side and put shpeedery back over to that Star-Lord. And that's the thing. When they usually play the Torch, I feel like they do good in that 2-2-2 sort of style with a Bucky alongside Cal. But in this coming defense, they're going to play that group and play against Rad. But Angela sort of works like Wolverine, where she can kidnap group whenever she wants.
Yeah, getting a little taste of one of his other favorite heroes out here. Look at Guru playing in the Matrix right now, dancing around the beams. No Ultron necessary that he has to worry about. Instead, he gets to go right back to the rest of his team here while Envy are trying to nail him down. Cal and Month being on the Loki, and Adam, well, Month gets sent out. Bedtime Story having his number. The nice stun on the both strategists. That just only leaves Nero for sustainability, and he may want to hold on to this internal bond, but no, he actually uses it instead. Even with just having Coluge and shpeedery there actively to make sure that there is not a recontest from RAD eSports.
I mean, it might be enough. It pushed him off for now. You thought that Rad was having a, huge advantage, but it was because, like you mentioned, with Nero building that also fast. Portal also used by Windows, so we have to, realize that portal cooldown now used. Here comes that invisible boundary from forkydog. They want to play inside, force Envy to use something, but they don't have anything in this fight. Strategist ult lies.
Always makes you pucker a little bit when forkydog gets choke slammed by the Emma Frost, trying to get there out of the invisible boundary. Does not come through with the safety of the meteor, rather the bubble there, but they try to nail down on the 1v1 of the Star Lords here. No Peter Quill having any fun as Gale has a safety of the Karmic Revival gear to bring them in.
That was so aggressive from BTS, but yeah, he's playing that way because of, like you mentioned, needs to find those eliminations before Strat ults come out. Rez is out too to bring Gilbert back. Same thing with forkydog. Heaven's Retribution to slow down this push. I mean, it seems like they're doing a really bad job, honestly, of breaking this ultimate on the side of Envy. And also the kidnap comes through because they spent so much time breaking that ult, but they're able to kind of stabilize with shpeediry in the sky, who is incredibly low, by the way. In that ult, gets healed up last second, but they take down 2 and they brought it back.
Envy have 3 at least in the bank here too, just to continuously harass RAD Esports back into their spawn room doors. And I want to highlight something that you said, Dogman. You talk about the Angela ultimate. Something else to note, another character that's really good at destroying other ults is Phoenix, and Phoenix was banned out, I do believe, for Envy, so it's not like they could utilize that to destroy a rocket ult or the Angela ult maybe just as easily here, but they do have to fixate their attention on it.
100%. And it's been tough, I think, for Rad to really find any opening. I mean, they used Reigns at the very least for the defense, but now you have to commit that Ultron's Rage in the sky for RAD Esports side to help peel off the Eternal Bond. Ayawagamoto committed by Coluge. forkydog is hit too. Oh no, he's gonna fall.
Yeah, Ayawagamoto hit forkydog even in the safety of that own invisible boundary, but at least keeps the other 4 members that were hit by the Ayawagamoto alive for now. The Sign of Seduction comes out next from Coluge. Cal does have that resurrection ready to go here, and Month is very close to having that God of Mischief. They want to look at the Eternal Bond as Nero gets a Terror Cape and then follow up onto Guru.
Oh my god, he's just slowly walking away. Cal was. He's just from like 4 people. In the meantime, his team is finding every single pick. Cal menacingly avoiding all of that damage, and then crystal utilizations keeping them alive for even a second longer from these kidnaps have been huge for Team Envy.
I'm really happy you brought that up. Very true here. With the Loki play too, you get to allow your tanks to also just play a little bit more up front. You control so much space here on the defense, but the Eternal Bond in the form of the God of Mischief comes out now from Month. You get to see the AoE coming out too, as Bedtime Story is just trying to get these picks, and with some extra help, they find Pizzademon and GilbertNoodle on the side of Envy, getting more of this advantage as time is of the essence and nobody to touch the point.
Wow. I mean, for as good as Rad's defense was, their offense got stuffed by Envy. Only 59% on the board. Envy get it done, get the 3-0, and now get an incredible match in that lower bracket finals as well later on. Because, man, what a close game that was, Vicky, and Coluge gets that MVP of that map.
There's so much to digest from that game too. I'm still not over, despite them losing. The Guru Angela was fire. I loved it. Every time we're seeing Guru on Angela, by the way, notice how he's usually always SVP. Mad props to the best Angela, honestly, and looking on the other side, though, giving props to the team who won it in a clean 3-0 fashion, the Envy way. Shpeediry, 11 final hits out here on the Star-Lord.
That's crazy. I mean, absolute dominance. And yeah, so